Hi guys, how's it going? Not really Keith here today with another video, this time playing some Rat King. So for those who don't know, Rat King's hero power allows you to choose from one of 3 different minions of the same minion type. This changes every turn, so it's elementals this turn, next turn it'll change to something else, and so on and so forth. It can only change to minions that are in the game, minion types that are in the game, so say if beasts aren't in this particular game, you won't get the hero power that lets you choose from 3 different beasts. It's only the minion types that are in that game. Interesting to note as well, it's only minions of the tavern tier you're on and lower that you get access to. So say if you're tavern tier 2, you can get access to tier 2 and below minions, tier 3 and below, and so on. So it's a really strong hero power, especially early game, because it costs 2 gold and it lets you discover a minion. So 2 gold for a minion is going to be good anyway, regardless, but 2 gold for a discover allows you to pick a minion that really fits into your comp, and just pick the best minion of the 3, so it's usually going to be better than a random minion from the shop. Now, it doesn't actually let you build a certain minion type, because you're going to be getting lots of different minion types each turn, but what it does allow you to do is get a really good tempo injection, because you're paying 2 gold and you're picking up a good minion. So early game, it allows you to build out a board of just lots of different minion types that might not have great synergy, but they're going to be strong minions, and you're going to have more minions than your opponents because you've been pressing this 2 gold hero power instead of buying them in the shop for 3. So it's got a very strong early game, and it works really well with just filling out your board to get some good tempo going. So see, I think this is turn 4 and I've already got, 6 minions. Turn 3, turn 4, 6 minions. It's looking very strong. Now Rat King's buddy, for those who don't know, actually synergizes with the hero power. So when you play the buddy, if there's no minions in the tavern that match the hero power that you're currently on, the refresh costs 0. So let me explain. So say if your hero power is discover an elemental from 3 different elemental options, and there's no elementals in the shop, the refresh will cost 0. So very strong buddy, and if you don't understand how it works, it'll become clear quite quickly. So my hero power at the moment is dragons. Because there's no dragons in the shop, it means I can refresh for 0 until I find a dragon. So there's no limit to this. You can refresh as many times as you want until a dragon appears in the tavern. So it means you can basically just roll maybe 4 or 5 times at least a turn for free, depending on how lucky you get. Now I did notice with dragons especially, there's not many early tier dragons. So you get a lot of free refreshes just because there aren't that many dragons available. So it's a very strong buddy, and it allows you to build towards whatever comp you're looking for with these free refreshes that you get. So regardless of what comp you're looking to play, the buddy is a major part of that, because it allows you to look for those cards and get you so many free refreshes while you're doing that. So very strong buddy, and very strong especially with elementals. So early game elementals with the Molten Rock and the Party Elemental get buffs whenever you play an elemental. Now if you're getting free refreshes, it means you can look for these elementals and then just cycle through elementals to get the buffs from the Party Elemental and the Molten Rock. So you can get a lot of strong minion buffs in the early game just from cycling through and playing these cards, as you'll see that I'm doing now. Now I do actually manage to pick up an early Living Azurite as well, which fits really well because Living Azurite is one of the builds that is very strong with Rat King. Now builds that are strong with Rat King are usually builds that involve refreshing or needing very specific cards, because his buddy allows you to find these specific cards that usually you might have a hard time getting, but because of the free refreshes, there's a lot more potential for rolling and finding these cards than you would with a regular build. And Living Azurite is probably the best build for this hero because of that. But if you're not playing Living Azurite, if you're playing a different build, it can still be very strong just to help you look for those cards, because you'll see how many refreshes you get. So I think so far I've already gained like 10 gold just from the free refreshes that I've been able to get. And obviously when the hero power lines up with elementals, so when it's elementals, it's even better, because then it's going to be free unless there's an elemental in the shop, and I'd usually be buying the elementals. So there's synergy there as well. Now in terms of mid to late game, Rat King isn't as strong for most builds, because his hero power, say you're playing Naga, there's only going to be a 1 in 5 chance that you get the Discover a Naga hero power. So most of the turns, his hero power is not going to be very useful for you. So after sort of turn 6, turn 7, you're not going to get much value from the hero power unless it's on the minion type of your choice. So it really is a strong early game for the hero power, and then it falls off late game. The buddy, on the other hand, is going to be strong throughout the game and can actually get better depending on your build. Especially this Living Azurite build that I'm going to show you today. So early game's gone well, got some good elementals that are getting buffed up. You'll see my board is incredibly strong for this stage of the game due to that Molten Rock and the Party Elemental and the synergy they have. Now I've gone to tier 3, and the card I'm looking to pick up is actually the Living Azurites. So for those who don't know this build, the Living Azurite, when you cast a Tavern spell, gives all your elementals in the shop and in future shops +1/+1. So the more Tavern spells you cast, the more buffed your elementals get. It's a very strong build at the moment. There's a few different heroes you can do it with. You can also do it with the Rana, which is the main one people use. I'm going to be making a video about that probably later this week as well, so look out for that one. But yeah, so when you play a Tavern spell, it buffs the elementals in the shop, and then when you buy them, obviously they've got these buffs attachment. You can see the elementals in my shop are already quite big just from playing 3 or 4 Tavern spells. So the core element of this build is going to be buying Tavern spells, cycling them, and then buying the elementals I can find in the shop to build a strong board. Now the way Rat King works with this is, because of those free refreshes, it means that you can pick up a lot of Tavern spells without spending too much gold on refreshing the shop. Because let's say if there's a 30 to 40% chance that you're going to get a free refresh, it means that you're going to be spending a lot less gold on refreshing the shop and a lot more gold on buying the Tavern spells. So you get a lot of value just from rolling, buying Tavern spell, roll, buy Tavern spell, when you've got your Living Azurites unlocked. And you get a lot of value from the buddy. Unfortunately, the golden buddy doesn't actually do anything different, so you don't get 2 free refreshes with the golden buddy. It's just the same, but it does still count as a triple. So once you have your buddy with this build, you're just looking to stack Tavern spells. So pick up some Azurites and then just buy all the Tavern spells in the shop that you can, and play them to start buffing the shop, buffing the elementals that you're going to get in the shop. Now in terms of what spells to buy when you're doing this, usually I always buy 1-cost spells as a general rule, and then 2-cost spells, it's up to you. You can buy the buff the shop 2-cost spells, you can buy the Chef's Choice because it gives you another minion, but 2-cost is where I would leave it. I wouldn't buy 3-cost spells to buff your shop in most situations, just because it's too expensive. You're not going to be able to buy many of them, and with the free refreshes you get the ability to be a bit picky with which spells you buy. So always buy 1-cost, sometimes buy the 2 costs, and then 3 costs. Actually 3 costs you can buy the spell that costs health. Yeah, so the spell that costs health instead of gold, that can be good, but obviously be aware of your health. You don't really want to go below sort of damage cap if you are going to be playing that. So once you've got online and you've started buying a lot of these spells, the next thing you're going to want to be doing is tripling minions. The strength of this comp comes from tripling your minions to make even bigger minions. So for those who don't know, when you triple a minion, the minion gets double the base stats and then all of the buffed stats for any of the 3 minions you've bought. So let's say you buy 3 40/40 minions, it will get double the base stats plus the extras. So plus, let's say, 120 of buff stats. Now it wouldn't be 120, but any of the extra stats that any of the minions you've bought have on top of that will all combine. So they get a huge amount of stats, and you'll see as we progress, these minions that I'm picking up when I triple them are so much bigger, and they're very strong. So that's where a lot of the strength of this comes from, is getting those triples to increase the stats even further. So the triples you're looking out for in this comp especially are the Wildfire and the Crackling Cyclone, and obviously the Living Azurite. But the Crackling Cyclone, because it's got that Divine Shield, and the Wildfire because it's got that kind of partial cleave. So basically it damages minions next to it, next to the one it attacks, with the excess damage. So it's not a proper cleave because it's not damages a minion and the adjacent minions. It only damages based on the excess damage, but it's still good because it means if it has a lot more attack than the minion has health, the excess is dealt to one adjacent minion when it's not gold, and then both when it's golden. So a really good minion to pick up. But in terms of what you're up against, I think it's important to play either Wildfires. If you're going up against, say, undeads, Wildfire is going to be a lot better because you're going to have a lot of opportunity to deal extra damage to those adjacent minions. Whereas if you're playing against Murlocs, the Cyclone is going to be better because it means it can dodge the poison with the Divine Shield. So try to look at what you're up against and decide what triples you're going to look and keep based on what minion types are in the game and what other people are playing. Because there's no use having a bunch of Cyclones over Wildfires when there's not many poisons and such, even though they are both good cards anyway. So late game, what you can do with this build, there's a couple of options. You can either stay Tavern Tier 3 and just play, keep playing your Tavern spells to keep buffing the elementals, which is good if you've got quite a few Living Azurites. Or, if you think you've got the opportunity, you can level to 5 and look for the Shell Elemental, which allows you the Spellcraft to take the stats of a minion in the shop and add it to one of your minions at random, which is a very strong card if you can get to tier 5. The issue is, you do lose tempo by spending that gold to get to tier 5, so I would only do that if you think you need it to outscale your opponents. So say if there's someone in the lobby that's scaling really well, you can go to tier 5 and pick that up to try and outscale them, because there is only a limited amount of scaling you're going to get from the Living Azurite from picking up the triples, and it can be outscaled by quite a few things. So if someone is playing a very late game scaling comp, I'd say go to tier 5. If not, like in this game, you can just stay Tavern Tier 3 and keep building out those triples and push to knock people out with the tempo a bit quicker. Another thing you can do late game is actually sell the buddy. So if you're getting to the stage where all of your minions are very strong, the buddy is going to be the weak link, but be aware that once you sell the buddy, you're going to have a lot less refreshes to look for other elementals. So make sure you've got to the stage where your board is strong enough that you don't need to be looking for many cards. Then you can sell the buddy and add in a strong elemental on top of that as well. So we're heading into the later rounds now, and the comp's looking very good, almost done. So I'm going to bow out, let you enjoy the rest of the game, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.
time. My favorite. Time to see our new recruits. Ha! What a win! Look at that! A potential triple! You did it! And here's your reward. It is adorable, just like a Frostwolf pup. Recruitment time, my favorite. I'm glad I brought warm clothes for this trip. Ha! What a win! Another great recruit for you. Recruitment time. My favorite. Recruitment time. My favorite.
Bullseye.
Victory! That's how it's done! Oh, it's Drekthar's favorite too. Oh, it's Drekthar's favorite too. Another great recruit for you.